Hey guys, Space Fetus here, and welcome to another episode of Fetus Farms. I apologise, we've not done one for a little while. I've had other things going on, but we're back for cornbread. So let's get started. You are going to need, hopefully if I've done this right, 2 eggs, 1 flour, 1 sugar, 1 cornbread. So we hit craft on that, and we wait 15 minutes, and we'll see what we get. Okay, and the cornbread is done and has been disposed onto the floor in a safe manner. So, there we go. That's cornbread. But it seems pretty easy, so I think I'm going to give it a go myself. See what happens. So let's go do that. Okay, here we go. So for the cornbread, we've got our corn. We've got 2 eggs. We got some flour, which it doesn't really designate how much flour, so I'm just going to sprinkle some on there because, you know, I'm not going to... Yeah, that's about right. That's enough. And then we're going to take the sugar, and the sugar's going to go on top there as well. Just like that. Beautiful, beautiful. And then that's supposed to go in the oven for 15 minutes. So we'll put that in the oven, 15 minutes, and we'll, well, I guess we'll check on it in 15 minutes and see how it's looking. In it goes. Off we go. 15 minutes. Okay, so it's done. Now... It doesn't quite look like those squares of cornbread that I saw in the game, but I'm assuming that's because I haven't mixed it properly. So, you know, make sure it's all cooked all the way through. Yeah, it seems pretty cooked. Oh, corn. Nature's hammer. We'll just use that to, yeah, that's looking about right. I mean, it's pretty good, actually. I don't even think it needs a plate. We're just going to leave it there. Good job, guys. Good job. Now, for my cornbread, this is my ingredients. As you can see, I got a few more. So the first thing we're going to do is 124 grams of flour. Now, that's a very specific amount of flour, but that's how much I'm using for the one I'm going to do. I'm trying to keep it as traditional as possible. I'm not American. I never have made cornbread nor eaten cornbread, but I'm trying to use pretty much the same ingredients that the Cubic Castles one did. So it was 124 grams of flour. Now the important bit, 124 grams of cornmeal is going to go in there. Now the cornmeal is what makes it cornbread. Otherwise it would just be cake, I guess. So in we go with the cornmeal, 124 grams. Sprinkle that in. Oh, it's a lovely yellow colour. That's going to bring the golden yellow colour through quite nicely, I think. Yeah, just got to make sure, got to get our measuring right. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to add our salt. Now you want about a teaspoon of salt. So I'm just going to sprinkle it because I can't be bothered to get a teaspoon. But yeah, you just need a little bit of salt, not too much. You don't want to make it really salty. And then you're going to want to take the baking powder and you're going to want about 3 teaspoons of that if you can successfully open it and get into baking powder. Now I am going to get a teaspoon for this because it's quite important. So once you've managed to solve the mystery of the universe that is baking powder, which I still haven't, there we go. 3 teaspoons of that. So 1, counting with feeders, 2, 3. There we go. 3 teaspoons of baking powder. So once we've got that all in there, we're going to take our eggs next. Now we just need the 1 egg. For this recipe, unlike the Cubic Castles one, we're just going to use the 1 egg, just crack it in there. Very easy recipe. Everything is just going in this bowl. You know, we're not going to do anything special to it. We're not going to put a whole corn on the cob in there, and we're certainly not going to beat it to death with one. But, you know, it's in there. Now, milk is next, and we want about 300 millilitres of milk, just short of, maybe about 275. So about 275 millilitres of milk. Get yourself a measuring jug. Measure it out like so. As you can see, pro measurer here, and then just pour that in, straight in it goes. And lastly, just a splash of vegetable oil. It's about 50 milliliters of vegetable oil. It's not a lot. It's just a little bit, just enough to keep it sort of moist. That's what it's in there for. It just keeps the cornbread a bit moister than, same as cakes really, just a little bit moister. It'll go dry very quickly without it. And then you're just going to mix this up. Past Fetus has forgotten the sugar, but because I'm voicing this over, I know that. So we've missed the sugar. Without the sugar, it's just going to be a savoury cornbread. It's not going to have a lot going on. So you want to make sure not to forget the sugar. I'd be very interested to hear from people actually if they prefer sweet or savoury cornbread, for those of you that actually eat cornbread like more than I do, because this is the first time I've ever made cornbread. So we're doing the sweet one, but I'd be curious to know. Alright, so past Fetus has remembered that he has indeed forgot the sugar, so he's going to do that now. Now, the sugar is the same as the others. It's like 240 grams of sugar, which is quite a lot of sugar actually. But I suppose you have got to sweeten it up, so make sure you add your 240 grams of sugar. Don't forget that, that's very important. Now, as I said, this is a classic cornbread. If I was to make this again, maybe I'd add some cinnamon, bit of nutmeg, maybe some raisins or something, just to make it a bit more interesting. But this is the traditional method, so it's the one we're going to do. So once you've remembered to add your sugar, you just want to stir that through, just like everything else. Get the consistency good. Try to avoid lumps. And yeah, just a nice smooth mixture is what you're aiming for. I'm just breaking up the sugar lumps in there because a few of them are a bit hard. And then once you've done that, you're just going to want to put it into your tin. Now, I didn't have like a long, shallow tin, which I imagine is what cornbread is normally done in to get the squares. So I'm using a loaf tin. It's a bit deeper. I'm not going to cut it into squares as it's a loaf. It'll be more like slices. But you know, it's the same sort of thing. So just want to scrape it through. If you've got one of those plasticky, sort of thin, scrapey ones, I don't even know what they're called. But if you've got one of those, that's really good for getting all the extra mixture out of the thing. A wooden spoon isn't the best. You have to scrape it a lot and a lot and a lot to try and get... You waste a lot of mixture. But if you've got one of those, if anyone that's got one will know what I'm talking about. So if anyone remembers what they're called, let me know in the comments. But that will get a lot of the mixture. And that's pretty much it, guys. It then just goes in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes, give or take. So yeah, that is it, guys. I'm thinking I might do something a bit fancy next time. I might do mud cake. I think that would be a lot of fun. But for now, you know, we're going to chuck this in the oven 20 to 25 minutes. We'll see how it does. Past Fetus obviously has never tried cornbread, so future Fetus will now tell you for the first time after eating the cornbread, it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. It's really sweet, but not too, you know, it's very basic. It's essentially a cake for those of you that haven't had cornbread. It's made with 90% of the same ingredients as a cake. I've cooked mine as like a loaf, as you can see. But yeah, I like it. Definitely a fan of cornbread. Just going to flip that so I can get the baking paper off now. You should wait till it cools, but for purposes of showing you guys, I want to get it off straight away. Flip it back. And that's it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, please. And I'll see you all soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.